balance in the game. This is not a position where you are ahead. The gold player is just a little bit ahead of you, and you have to be able to micro, and you have to be able to defend better than them.
Exactly.
If you want to try to take these games, you can't trade evenly.
What is this follow-up?
Trade evenly.
But what is his follow-up here? Dreadnought, he's going to be going for a Ghost Academy, getting at some tech. What? He's going to get a tech lab here on the barracks, and I think he's just doing it for the memes. You know, sometimes you do things to win games, sometimes you just do it for the memes, and I don't even think we're going to get to that point here in this game. He's going to get an awesome position here, takes out all of those drones, and Warren not too happy about that one, I bet.
Ruff takes game 1.
Hot damn.
And everybody out there is asking the question, now how do you deal with that? As you mentioned, Tempo, one thing that Cats did was pull his drones, try to attempt something like that, which is pretty cool. However, in that game, it's not quite going to work out. But I love the mind games. You're just so used to mech. How is he going to be aggressive? He's going to go mech. Not ever the gold base. Really pulling out here a blast from the past. And that's what I've been talking about a little bit with the use of siege tanks. How you have some older maps where players have experience on them. Not only will they have experiences with siege tanks, they will have experiences with proxies and cool nuances of the map, which you wouldn't have if the map pool just came out last season, last week as a whole new map pool.
Exactly. Wow. Well then. Quick game number 1 there from Ruff. I'm glad that he did bust that one out because it was, like you said, a blast from the past, right? And the coolest part about it is that it played out in, you know, the fashion that I thought. If Warren pulled the drones, I would have been like, oh, this is so funny. But, like, it's one of those things where it's been so long that maybe you're not even thinking about the gold being lifted to.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know?
Yep. By the way, if we are back now, I'm looking at chat and seeing that we may be back. Ruff just went 1-0 versus Warren with taking the gold and just doing a very aggressive 3x push off that gold base. You know what I'm afraid? I'm afraid if we saw Kelzor too, like proxy 3x Reaper from the gold.
But like, I'm just glad that it was a different style, right? So, yeah, you can do so many funny things there with that gold, and they're available to you. And in a tournament game, like that's the time to do it.
Boom, that's a win for you right there.
It's a W.
Game 2 will occur on Newkirk Precinct in this TVZ.
Yeah.
Newkirk Precinct is going to be an interesting one because if you take the pocket third as a Terran, you can cover that with siege tanks. You don't need to be as maneuverable, and as a mech player that Ruff is, you can kind of pull yourself in, get really tight, instead of having to take maybe the vertical base, which is far farther away. And with that, it just makes it a little bit easier to sit on 3 bases for a mech player in this matchup.
Newkirk Precinct.
You don't have to move around as much, basically.
Exactly, like the way that your bases at least are set up the way you say. I'm always a bit afraid though, like when it comes down to the attack, you know, you have that, you know, at the third base, there's that little, I don't know what to call it, like a platform thingy that you can't go on, but it's just like a blocker.
Yeah, the block right there, the column.
But yeah, the column, there we go. But it's still a wide arc that the Zerg can go for and attack on. It's
really a cool piece of map architecture, making it so you can't take these huge fights right there with the arcs. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom left-hand corner. It is the pink Zerg player, the one, the only, Warren.
I thought it was...
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner
is that boy Ruff. The unorthodox Terran player from PSISTORM Gaming, taking game 1.
It needs to just be a title. Ruff, the unorthodox Terran. I feel like it's a children's book.
It's like
like, here, kids, do you want to hear the story of, you know, Little Red Riding Hood and Ruff, the unorthodox Terran?
Yo, I'm down. That would be pretty funny. Imagine that. Forget Little Red Riding Hood, you know? And
it's the only thing I could think of. I searched my mind
your brain
for a while, and I was like, oh.
Was that your favorite one as a kid or something?
It's literally the only thing I can remember.
Was it the only children's book that got read to you as a child?
No, I think we got like Peter Rabbit's in there.
Oh, Peter Rabbit?
Peter Rabbit, yeah.
That boy.
Peter Rabbit and the
He always causing
Terran.
trouble. Isn't he always causing all sorts of trouble? Little Bunny Fufu is what I'm thinking of, actually.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
He was a punk, man. He was a little punk, yeah. So either way, here we are on Newkirk Precinct, and it is once again this TVZ between Warren and Ruff. We didn't get to see Warren get to do too much there. He just kind of reacted and then died. Things that you don't usually want to do.
And if we can get into a little bit of a meta game, or a longer bit of, a macro game, one of the big things we mentioned earlier in this game is the nature of this map, the map architecture, where at first it's very wide open spaces, and there are a lot of spaces to get concaves and maybe use hydras, things like that.
Yeah.
But there are also a number of columns, and often you can try to take engagements that you have to wrap your army around one end of one of these columns in the middle of the map, and it's very easy to do that. Even with the holes in the map act the exact same way. You kind of got to wrap yourself around that.
Yeah.
And so you can, if you're pursuing or falling back, get yourself in a bad position. So earlier today we were talking about where you are on the map, if you're on your opponent's side of the map, if you're in no man's land or whatever. And on this map, it's much more important to know that and know where you can fall back onto, because sometimes you fall back and your army's broken up into two and it gets sectioned off and sniped. It's very important
in the middle
to understand where your opponent's territory is on Newkirk
Oh,
Precinct.
what the hell? This guy, yo, he's brave. Come on, bro. You got
this guy.
Well, he ran into the Lings, though. What's up, son? He's taking out.
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, he died alone.
He didn't even get a Ling.
I couldn't see the health bars, but at first I was like, can he do this? Can he kill all 4 Lings? Is this amazing?
Not going to be able to happen here. I actually was like, first of all, you know, the Marine goes out there in order to try to find an Overlord.
And then I would presume.
Just Warren realized that there was not going to be any Reaper, so he ended up going out onto the map with those Lings. And that poor Marine, I don't even know if he got an Overlord, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think he did either. That would have been great if he could. Yet, that's a very small loss. And on top of that, think of it, it delayed the Lings. It makes Warren think, what are you doing? It's very much a mind game, and it's not a big thing to throw away. It's just a little one-click payment. Boom, there's a mind game done.
When you see the Hellions come out, you know something else is up here. And when you play a player like Ruff, you know something's up here, because there's a second factory being made. And we'll see if he puts a tech lab onto that one. 4 Hellions are going to run inside of the natural base here. Going to target the Queen, not the best target here. These Hellions not really getting too much done, and they need to get onto that mineral line or else they're not going to really get any value for them. And now here they go, 3 Hellions, one-shot drones. Oh, they're lining up, Janok. Oh, good surround though. Not before losing a few drones there.
Did a nice job of killing those Lings, so it's maybe not an even trade, but still Ruff's going to get out. I actually say it's an even trade if he gets out of here alive with this 1 Hellion, especially for scouting purposes. This is a very nice opener out of Ruff. And where does he go from here, as you were just talking about, with this production being added on, Tempo?
Well, he's adding a starport, and he is making a reactor on that other factory, most likely. And it does look like it is going to be Blue Flame. So he did make a tech lab on one of those factories, the one at the front. And Blue Flame Hellions against Spire units usually aren't going to really do well against for the Terran player. However, you know, you have to keep in mind that Ruff could start to transition into some anti-air if he decided to go. Oh, he doesn't have an armory at all, actually. Cyclones don't really do well against anti-air anymore either, so I think this Muta, well, I was going to say switch, but it's more so just a Muta opener out of Warren is going to be pretty sick.
It might go uncontested, exactly. And one thing, though, on this map, as I was mentioning earlier, is that pocket base is going to be even more easy to defend with missile turrets, something like that. Yet, on the flip side, it's easier if that third base is in the pocket for Ruff to attack the third with mutas, and then as Warren, jump into the main or the natural. So you got different nuances of that defense where you're much closer, that helps to defend, but it also helps for a quick assault by mutas to attack each and every base when you simply cannot slow them down.
Yeah. I honestly think this is the best opener Warren would do against Ruff. You know, it's not that popular in the meta nowadays with, you know, 2-base muta just isn't... The double medevac timing is a little bit too strong, and mutas don't really help you in defending that. And whatever damage you do with the mutas, it's not going to make up for the fact of losing all of your stuff. So we did see that go out of fashion. Ruff is going to be at least making some turrets, so even though he doesn't have any mobile anti-air...
Yeah, doesn't need mobile anti-air when he has immobile anti-air.
Well, let's see where those mutas go, you know, because if Warren is not paying attention, 4 Widow Mines do nasty things to mutas.
That can. For now, it's going to be a counterattack. As you were mentioning, a lot of the time with mutas, the issue is not that they're not that they have to fight something on the other side of the map, but that there is a counterattack where they're out in the middle of the map and Hellions attacks. It's very important. Good reposition. He identifies what he's up to and falls back, but it's one thing I really love with Hellions. If you get damage done, that's great. If you don't, and he pushes you back, you at least identify this full circumference of his army.
Yeah, that was really good. He was able to get the scouting done with an aggressive play, and that's what Ruff does. Gets really aggressive, and then he's able to scout there. He doesn't have to use a scan. He can just go in there and say, oh, you're going for mutas? All right, and I'm going to start making Thors. And oh my god, this is the moment of truth. Is he paying attention, though? I don't know. I think he is.
Yeah, Warren fell back because his third base is currently under fire by Ruff's army.
The Hellions, I bet.
About that.
Yeah, and I know for a fact, yeah, we do want to see this, but these are Blue Flame Hellions, by the way, and they're going to annihilate Lings, and I think that without any roaches on the ground, it's going to be really tough to deal with these Hellions, and the mutas are not going to opt to go into the main.
This is a really cool game so far, Tempo. We've seen relatively few workers killed, which may change right here, but a lot of trades here and there. So this is a game where you get to really start to think that cerebral level, all right, how are you going to beat your opponent where neither has been able to or has had the opportunity to kill workers? Both have been defended, and also great defense from Ruff at this natural because of turrets and libs.
Oh, yeah, Liberators.
Libs are weaker, though, in this patch, though. They don't do as much damage versus light.
You're right.
Air.
Yeah, they don't have that pretty much GG button against mutas. So, yeah, that's actually really interesting now, because mutas maybe are going to start getting a bit more popular. We have seen it a bit more with the Ling Bane muta style, but against mech, I guess that's pretty cool now, you know, because Thors have never been, like, amazing against mutas anyway, even though if you do have enough of them and you're not paying attention with the mutas, yeah, I think you know what happens there, Drenok. So... Well, I'm just waiting. We're waiting. Really we're really just waiting for these mutas to fly over the Widowmines. Let's be real. What we're really here for.
Yeah, that's all we're here. We're here for a big explosion.
That's all we care about.
Mythbusters always was like, let's just see an explosion, guys. Come on.
Come on.
This could be really good for him. The mutas may try to focus them two down and then go somewhere else, but also he's just spreading out the defense. The mutas find the opportunity angle.
Hey, he saw.
Best angle possible. He moves in, he moves around, and this time there's no counterattack, so he can focus completely on his Mutalisk.
There is so much airspace on this map, dude. Like, wow. The Liberators are going to be able to find these mutas in the corner of the map, but as you do notice, they do not just completely annihilate them anymore, and is even one gonna die? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Warren, he wasn't paying attention, I don't think. And he's just gonna stand there, but wait, are the mutas gonna win this fight? It could, no.
We're gonna see how that goes down.
Oh, man. Yeah. There it goes.
That's pretty good, because you gotta remember with the Thor's AA buff, when they're doing a lot better versus anti-air, that's generally what you're looking to take those engagements. But since the Liberators worked, the Thors are now freed up to work on Lings, to work on anything in the middle of the map when a more direct engagement is taken.
All right. What buff did they get for
they got plus versus light.
They didn't get
no. The Liberators.
I know the Liberators lost
negative versus light.
But I meant for the Thors. I don't know if it was a damage one or someone. Okay, yeah.
But it is really cool. It is radius. In and of itself, whether they were buffed or not, it's very much Blizzard trying to point you towards how do you deal with mutas? Thors, a mech way of doing that, a mech-centered play style. Maybe not a mech-centered play style, but definitely a mech-favored play style in that way of defending against Mutalisks.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, some people would argue that is annoying in a sense, where there's like a binary way to deal with everything, as opposed to having multiple ways stylistically.
And that's what I actually really love about Legacy of the Void, as I mentioned over and over again. There's so many of these matchups where it's not binary, it's actually controlled. It's not just, I have this and it counters you. It's how well are you going to control what you have, because we're both kind of on even footing. Yet here we go. How good of a strategy, how good of a concave does Warren have coming on into Ruff? Ruff is going to fall back. The Thors are backed up by a planetary fortress, a siege tank, and a Liberator. Right now, there's a lot of damage coming out of Ruff's army, and Warren doesn't really seem to have enough at all, but it is meager army versus meager army. Lots of big, strong units, not a lot of little ones, which we're used to seeing out of this pink Zerg.
Yeah, Warren sticking on that Roach Bane, but it looks like he's going to be transitioning at least to Hydras. He's already going up to Hive, and it most likely is going to be, you know, some kind of variation of Hydra with Vipers in it, and we'll see what he ends up adding into it as well, but the Roach Ravager and the Banes are just not going to really work out for him, because it's not even really a heavy Hellbat composition either. It's mainly those really big, powerful units, as you were saying. So when it comes down to it, yeah, Warren definitely going to have to switch things up. And look at his production tab, you know, just so many things happening at once. Getting the Hydra upgrades, also going for the Infestors. Now, I would love it if he went for, like, Neural as well.
I've seen that happen also in a couple ZVPs where you'll have this big all-in from the Protoss that's been working well. And this is on a third base more after your initial all-in has happened as Protoss.
Yep. Like, then, okay, what's the next one?
Then an Infestor just takes an Archon. It's like, yeah, let's do whatever we can. And it really can screw you up, especially when you have fewer units. Let's just say this was Bio. What are we going to do? Infest a Marine? Infest a Medevac? Yeah, it's all right, but when it's just a couple big key units, it's far better to infest. So I'd completely agree with you that that's a great idea right there. And not only is Warren focusing on that as next tech path, but also check out the creep. He is multitasking everywhere. Look at that beautiful creep
That's a
spread.
lot of, creep spread out of Warren is actually really good. And you're going to need that against this style, because anytime a mech army pushes out, they usually want to get there to your base uncontested and, you know, hopefully siege up in a position that puts you in an awkward one.
What a guy.
So,
what a guy.
Right?
Take down a Widowmine right there.
Right, with the Ravagers on creep. You can't even really see that easily. So that's not as easy as you think. But he was paying attention and he remembered where it was. But what is the final unit comp that Ruff is going for? You know, a lot of people are saying that mech is not, you know, that really viable once the Vipers come out.
And especially with burrowed infestors, they're saying they could, I mean, you could potentially, let's say you have 5-6 infestors, Heroes Parasite 5-6 siege tanks, that's 2/3 of, that's pretty much 2/3 of the army right there. There is some air control of these Liberators, but it's very much going to come down to the control, not just countering, which is so cool about this engagement. Yet for now, both players are simply posturing in the middle of the map. As we've said, this is a big map.
Yo, the Neural Parasite.
Side. Ooh, beautiful. This is a big map with battlefield-wise. There's so many places you can take engagements, and there's so few that you really force it. So you can really bide your time and find a nice angle to do, which I love about Newkirk Precinct. There's so much area that is away from either base and not towards them.
Exactly. It's not a very, like, right there, you know. Oh,
nothing's at the third.
Oh,
nothing's at the fourth.
The planetary
forge is the only defense.
Whoa, the
SCVs. Beautiful shot. The Liberators are going to try to flank them, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, especially with
the Hydras have range, so
Warren decides not to engage and falls back after the successful snipe of the fourth base.
Okay, so he decided not to go for the Liberators. He's just like, okay, go in, guerrilla tactics, take out that planetary fortress, and then he's doing exactly what you do against mech. You out-expand them, and then, you know, you're going to try to go and take some good trades. I believe he's just waiting for the Vipers, and they are going to be on the way. As I think I saw them in the production tab, and I believe they might be consuming at the moment. Oh, the pathing is real.
At first, it looked like he did that on purpose to throw some corrosive biles down in front of the progressing mech army, but not in the end. Right now, as you were mentioning, it's all about delaying.
Yeah, he wants to delay, and that's what the creep spread was supposed to do, but, you know, this base is he can give this up. Oh, man, here we go, just gonna Neural Parasite those siege tanks, but a good reaction out of Ruff. Yep, good reaction out of Ruff, though. It was actually really quick, and that's gonna allow Warren to get the blinding clouds on the rest of the army. He's going in. He's pulling, what is that, a tank? I thought it was a Liberator, but no, it is gonna be tanks. He did not take out that many, though, right there.
That was blinding cloud versus point defense drone. Both sides are like, we can't hit anything. What's going on right there?
That makes sense.
Beautiful counter by Ruff. For a second, it looked like he was going to crumble, and he'd be in the situation where people say, oh, this sucks, like, Zerg is so strong, but no, he countered it, he figured out what to do, and is now still continuing this push and solidifying his strategies in the mech world.
Yeah, you know, it's just really nice that he's able to continue to do it, but it's the problem of him still being on 4 bases, and Warren, he's starting to get a really nice bank, and his trades are actually really good. He hasn't suicided anything like that, and he's transitioning into Broodlords, and there's not a lot of Vikings out, you know? I think using the energy of the Raven, I thought it was Ravens, it's only 1, by the way.
Oh, it's sniped.
Well, there it goes.
And do note this is the ideal position for Ruff right here. It's kind of scary if he gets a surround, but now it's going to be Hydras moving on into this funnel. We see a couple Broodlords coming in here too. Hopefully the siege tanks will focus those Broodlings, is what Warren is going for, but he can start sieging it up, and this attack has been just destroyed.
Absolutely.
But the 4th, 5th base, whatever that was, has now been sniped, and it was a successful attack. Sniped 2 bases.
And it was almost like a 4-base all-in at the same time, because you see Broodlords come out. As a mech player, you're like, okay, we need to get some Vikings out like ASAP.
Yeah. How many factories do you have? What's actually to back this up?
He can't. He doesn't have any money either. He's making 3 Vikings at a time, but he doesn't have enough economy, right? So Warren loses 1 base. Whoop-de freaking do, right? Like, big deal. And then all of a sudden now he has to deal with this huge army, and I don't think he has enough. I think Ruff is going to be in so much trouble here.
He needed a delay, and Warren delayed.
He did.
He's now pushing into the 3rd base of Ruff.
He lost 2 bases.
And taking a whole bunch of more bases across the map, making sure that if he loses 1 anywhere, he'll have 1 more to fall back onto. The multi-expand is beautiful, especially against siege tanks, where we don't see, like we did on Vonnie Research Station, the siege tank run by too often.
Oh, I know, the drive-by.
To be able to do that. Yeah, siege tank
roll-by? What do you call it?
Yeah, I guess that's, tank treads? Is it the tread-by?
Tread-by?
Tread-by.
Well, here we go. It's going to be another abduct on the siege tanks. He doesn't even really need to abduct. All he needs to do is deal with the Vipers and then let the Broodlords use the Broodlings to have the friendly fire happen on the tanks. He could even parasitic bomb. He has a few...
They're all clumped up right now. That'd be a beautiful parasitic bomb on top of the Thors, too. Looks like it's going to be a pull instead. Each time there's a pull, though, it exposes the Viper. The Vikings do some damage, but the parasitic bomb is beautiful. And actually, it doesn't know where to pull. It's like, oh, wait, there's literally there. No,
can't see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when in the cartoon you get, like, mud on your glasses. And like, oh, the guy's driving, you start swerving
all over the damn place. What was that? I was gonna say like Mario Kart when you get like the oil, or the squid ink. Just like squirts your screen. It's like sure.
Ruff is barely defended, but that's more to do with the patience of Warren. He realizes this is not a favorable attack for him and decides to move on into the next step of the game, which is...
It is going to be, basically, well, for Warren, I was going to say more Roach Hydra Viper, but yeah, he is going for Lurkers, and I'm wondering why exactly? You know, I think he's just trying to have a way to use his Hydras a bit more.
Yeah.
And, because I don't know if they outrange the tank or anything, you know?
There's also a facet to that, as in that Ruff has a very good time at holding a position, but Warren is not going to be able to hold a position and keep fighting, so it's going to provide a little bit more solid attacks for Warren, where he can move in, burrow down, and hunker down in that position. It's allowing him to take basically bunker positions as he moves forward, and also at the same time, it's a little bit easier falling back. He can fall back onto lurkers. I feel like there's just a lot of positional... Right now, his army lacks positional security. He can't hold these positions, and he's providing that self for him to be able to hold different places on the map, especially, as we've said, with a map like this where it's just gigantic. It's not that you're falling back onto your own base. It's actually that you're trying to take fights in the middle, or you could just drop, you know, you could just drop lurkers. Is that banelings or lurkers?
I thought it was lurkers at first, but the lurker didn't just completed, so he's not going to be able to get it done just yet.
Is that Hydra? I
love how, like, the one Overlord is like, I want to be a drop Lord too, and he's not even...
myself. But at the same time, the Hydras cannot suicide themselves in. An early preemptive Thor strike does pull back the army. Warren hears the exclamation, and right now, he's just delaying while he goes for a drop. This is going to be multi-pronged, and Ruff is going to be a little bit too slow to fall back and defend this.
There's no way for him to get over there. He's going to abduct one of the Thors. Here come those Broodlords, though, and look at how many Vikings there are. So many Vikings, but Warren is deciding not to attack. He needs to defend the Broodlords.
Yeah, right now he's going to be focusing on the drop. Here we go. Here's
Hydra
the Hydra drop.
It's
going to be beautiful. There's not actually too much production. What do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4 factories?
Well, the good part about Ruff's production is that it is spread out at least, and I think Warren knows... Oh, no, don't tell me he F2'd. Okay, he did not. I thought that he did F2 there and was pulling back. Oh my gosh, the production is being camped right now. And you know what? Ruff is still on almost 4 base economy. He never really took another base. That 5th one is there, but he doesn't have the gases there at all. And that's what you need as a mech player.
Right now he's pushing. And we do need to see a couple lurkers here or there, because he needs to be able to solidify these positions where he can fall back onto right now, since Warren does not have any Hydras in the main force. These Vikings pursue, the Thors pursue, because there's nothing holding that ground, and that's where the lurkers' place is. Yet for now, it doesn't really matter. Warren just needs something with his army. He's buying his time. He knows Ruff is in an all-in situation, that he has to base trade. Ruff knows this too, and it's going to come down to the control of these two great players. Currently, Ruff is up 1-0 in this best of 3.
He is. All Ruff needs to do is win one more game here, but he does have a great army at the time. I mean, it's just the fact that the parasitic bomb goes down on all of the Vikings. Okay, he's going to split it up pretty decently here. Oh, a little bit slow on that. Man, this is starting to get a little bit dicey.
The Thors are too far forward. No siege tanks are covering them. There's a parasitic bomb on the siege tanks in the east.
Yeah.
It's finally going to be taken down. A little bit of damage, but each time these Thors move too far out, they expose themselves, and Ruff cannot do that because there's no support for these Thors. Those Thors, they are the army.
Wow. Oh, you know, he dropped so many of his Hydras on the other side that he's trying to find a way to engage this army. You may look at this and say that, yeah, Warren has a much better army supply, but a lot of it is on the other side of the map. So I don't think Warren is in any real rush to try to go ahead and engage. He doesn't need to just do it yet. He can wait until the last minute. And oh gosh, is he going to do this?
And I kind of feel like...
And it looks like the red split went down again, and so it's us. It's me and Bob. Looks like stuff's happening.
A lot of crap is happening, Omen.
All the crap.
Base trade of sorts.
Oh, are they back? Press the call button.
Okay, so.
If we get them, we're good. We don't really need the video. Anyways, guys, we got these Hydras still wreaking havoc on the right side. Calls going through. Maybe we get the original voices back. Maybe we don't. Either way, you got the lovely tone of Bob here as well. Hydra's wrecking face. Face, I say. Oh my god, they're pushing through! Hydra's on the left, Hydra's on the right, Hydra's in your main all over the place. I don't know, Bob, I don't think he's gonna be able to hold on. Did you click the buttons?
I called back, but nothing happened. They were picking up.
They don't want to pick up our call? We'll take over? Mass drone migration happening at the same time. Production coming back up here for Ruff, of course. This is game number 2. He does have a 1-0 lead. He can afford to throw this one and not be too bad of a position, but why take that chance, Bob? What are you doing? What's the most over here for? I don't need it over here. Get it over there. What are you doing, Bob?
I may need it just in case, Helmet.
Nope.
It's okay.
What's going on?
Nothing. We're good.
Okay. Sounds fantastic. Hydra's moving in here. They're going to take on a planetary.
Yeah, we're going to try to close up this game. There's so much DPS available to
All
those
the
Hydras.
DPS. All of it. None of it exists for anything else. Oh my god. More and more meching happening here. I mean, he's got a little bit of a bank here. He's got, 1K, 1K.
Yeah.
You want to press the call again? Just see if we can get him back in?
Yeah.
If not, no big deal. We
So
got Bobby
in
also
trouble.
on the call.
Nice.
There we go.
Attacking from the high ground. Little to no income right now for Ruff. He dishes the base in the top right-hand corner. Warren almost as creep over the entire map, but this is really a great example of a patient Zerg player who knows I need Broodlords or I need Vipers, and he's never engaging until he has those. He knows he's just buying time. Anyone out there really likes that longer macro style of Zerg, this is what you're going for. You're going for patience and understanding that as long as I hold until I get Broodlords, or as long as I hold till I have Vipers, this is it, and that is what Warren has done here.
Yep, and he's found the production. It's all in the same spot this time, and it's only Hellions. No, these are Blue Flame Hellions.
Those two Hellions better run for their lives, man. I do not know what they're doing right there.
Yeah, this is not going to be good for Ruff. He has a lot of Hellions, which is great and all, but honestly, I even if they have the Blue Flame, they do good against light units. The Hydra DPS in range is going to be a little bit too much.
I'm wondering if this was a different map and the bases were a little bit closer, i.e. basically if Ruff was able to take more bases earlier on in the game, if he could have just kept making Siege Tank Thor. I'm wondering if it's too expensive though, because he didn't have any transition prepared. It was just a very slow final attack, and because he was caught out in the middle of the map, Ruff was able to kill him with that Hydra drop. But I'm very curious on a different map.
So
what do you think? What do you think about that? But yeah, it was so beautiful by Warren.
But if it was a different map, I'm trying to think of like Bonnie Research Station and like lining your base with turrets and stuff so that doesn't happen.
Or something like Whirlwind, where even though it's a far bigger map, you can just keep taking bases and keep that income rolling. But then you can remake a Thor or something army. What's also very hard is when you're maxed out like that and move forward with your mech army. It's not that it's not that like one or two things die and you can remake them. It's that it all dies at once or it doesn't die. So it's hard to remax into a new army.
Oh man, this is
Gradually too.
yeah, I don't know. Ruff,
Where'd those aliens come from? What?
I just think that Ruff. I'm a believer
He's not
usually.
gonna give up.
But yes, he doesn't give up, doesn't surrender. But this is not looking great. And you know what the good part about it? It's gonna go to 1-1 if I'm saying this. Don't like calling things early, but I mean this is one of the situations
Warren's
where
gonna even it up. Warren's gonna even it up.
we're gonna go to game 3, okay?
Ruff is saying,
I don't mean to
if
break
I can
your
do
heart.
this, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Check out the banks right now. Warren, what's awesome about waiting as long as Warren did is not only does it help you wait for the correct units, but you also just get a bank, just period. You get a whole bunch of money to be able to use.
Yeah.
This reactionary Zerg style is gorgeous to watch.
Yeah, Ruff is pretty dead. These Hellions, when they run out of gas, it's gonna be all over. GG.
Warren takes game 2 and evens it up 1-1. Yeah. Look at all those fans out there, Tempo. All right there for Warren. But
oh man,
that
was a good game though.
you can point out things where both players made mistakes. However, I feel like that was very much a game where Warren played it strategically and smartly and was able to just very gradually pull Ruff out into the middle of the map and then surround him with that drop into his main base and taking him down. But it was a great example of the patient player who knows, you know what? In 20 minutes, I'm going to be in the position I want to be in. Not in 5, not in 10, in 20. And most people would jump the gun, but not Warren. He knows how to win the game.
Yeah. It's tough, man. Mech is really in a rough spot. Like, goddamn. It's in a tough spot right now.
But it was made to be better, though. It was literally like Blizzard was like, we need better mech.
It's just the fact that, like, Vipers and Hydras, really good. The range of them, and then Blinding Cloud, Parasitic Bomb, like, Vipers are so good against mech in almost every aspect. Blinding Cloud is able to take out clumps of tanks. They can abduct stray mech units, which are always going to be expensive. And, like, Parasitic Bomb basically obliterates everything in the sky, forces them to spread around, and then allow you to get in another better position. So, yeah, man. I think I'm going to jump in here to game number 3.
Definitely Warren's composition was incredibly strong in that game, but we did see some cool things that Ruff was able to do with. I mean, he threw down a point defense during a few of them against Hydras, did a good job of, in positions where generally most players would say, I'm done, I lost right there. He kept on, and it wasn't even to the extreme of the end where it's kind of like, you can leave now. However, in that point, there was these great ideas where you can start getting into the counters, where you blind and cloud me, I PD point defense.
I like that when he did that,
You do this, I do that. And so you can keep countering. That's something where I haven't seen as often happen. But when you have a player like Ruff who plays mech and really plays that well over a long period of time, he starts to get ideas and creative ways to do that next step in the counter in Army.
Yeah, don't you mean the next step?
The next step. The smexy Ruff.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to game number 3 on Overgrowth. And, so you guys might have missed game number 1 because we were fixing some things. And what had happened was it was Ruff taking the gold base on Habitation Station, made a bunch of Marines, and then he just went in and wrecked everything that Warren held dear. Yeah.
Here we are, though, for game 3 of this best of 3, currently 1-1. In the top right-hand corner, representing PSISTORM Gaming, it is the pink Zerg player, Warren.
Woo! Chee! And in the bottom left-hand corner, representing PSISTORM as well, he is the unorthodox Terran himself, Ruff.
We have our first map, which we could say is a little bit more of a normal Legacy of the Void map.
Oh, yeah.
Patch 3.8. Has been enacted, though. It's a little bit more normal. We don't have a habitation station situation or Newkirk Precinct where you get into these really big battles in the middle, or you have these very much positionally based battles. It's a little bit more standard to strategies and all-ins and macro.
Yeah. Overgrowth is like just that map, the Frost or like, it was a standard map. A lot of people got so used to it, and everyone gets so comfortable on it, and this is so good by Warren. He's just returning the favor. So delaying that base from Warren with that engineering bay is good here for Ruff, but delaying the gas for a player that really likes to go mech is even, it's on an equal ground at the same time.
It is huge, especially when Warren decided to open up aggressively. As you can see, spawning pool is almost done. It actually just even finished. So it's not as if the naturals denied, and that was the only thing he was going for. He also had an extra strategy, an extra route to go down, an extra alleyway.
Yeah, different avenue,
different avenue.
Hey, I don't know though. I feel like even if you delay the gas of a Terran player, delaying the hatch is the most frustrating thing for a Zerg player. So sure, you're not going to get gas as much here as Ruff. And he might have had a build in his head that he needed that gas for. At least he can still have his economy going, if he wants to drop a second command center, and he does that. So that's not going to delay him from anything, really, aside from the tech at the speed of which he gets his tech.
And what I'm worried for Warren in this case is his third base is far away, a little bit farther away, and Ruff is now investing his minerals. When you don't have enough gas, where do you invest those minerals? It could be Hellions or Marines. And so with the third being far away, it's going to be easier to hit that third, section it off, and start killing it with earlier attacks, either by Marines or Hellion pushes.
Yeah. Well, good timing there on that bunker. Even though it was only 2 lings, I don't think that they would have been able to do too much either way. So Ruff finally going to be able to start his tech. I don't think that he even decided to take the gas out. He had 2 Marines in the bunker. But yeah, now they're going to start to work away on that refinery. But that's a long time, actually. That's a really long delay in on the gas.
That will be. Natural base will be able to be taken for gas for Ruff. But Warren does a very good job in this game, showing us how decisive he is in the macro game. You notice, as I was mentioning earlier, I think most players, after the natural be denied, would make 4 or 6 lings, if not to attack, at least take down that engineering bay. However, Warren only makes 2. That's only for scouting. He knows, he feels confident enough in his late game composition that it is superior to Ruff's, the Terran mech players, that if I can get to that, that's all I'm going for. He's not going to go for this quick game where he jumps the gun and tries to take an engagement. He's going for the for sure win later on to make it 2-1 and move on.
Yeah. And I think here, it's usually the late game mech composition that gets countered so hard. But I'm always thinking, there has to be certain timings that you can hit his mech as well. If anybody would figure them out, I know Ruff would be that guy. He does a lot of stuff with Ravens, at least pre-patch. Figured stuff out with... I forget the name of the upgrade, but it's the one that made the auto turrets really, really good before this patch. So he was doing stuff like that, and it was actually really cool. And excuse me, I just don't think that he's able to like mass up the army where you sit back and you're like, I'm gonna make a big 200 army and push and win. It doesn't really work that way anymore. So
It's a different style.
there must be some kind of timings or something that he can take advantage of while Warren is teching up to that ultimate army that he would like.
I think sometimes the things you want to take advantage of are smaller than you may realize. This is a Roche one, by the way. I like that from Warren. Just kind of making sure that he has the opportunity to defend if there is a push with Hellions or Hellbats something, but more looking towards the late game. But like I was saying with the Ruff, I feel like often you look for these big things where there's a gigantic push, but for mech in the current state of the game, especially with Ravens, I think it more has to do with the very small, little, subtle counterattacks and Raven buys, where remember in the TVTs we saw one Raven went in, killed 10, 15 SCVs, and
it does a lot of damage.
It's all about, you have a whole bunch of big units, and you're going to attack each individual place at once. They can hold their own for a little while. It's about those tiny little worker kills and engagement that set you up for a really strong mid to late game with the Terran army, where the Zerg just does not have enough to keep throwing stuff away at it.
Exactly. Well, this is a little different than from what Warren would be expecting. It is going to be a big Marine tank push here with a few of these CVs most likely for repairs, but he could start with some bunkers. But no, I think the creep spread is a little bit too far out for bunkers to be effective. So, yeah, I would assume that they're mainly there for the repair.
That Roach one expertly made, only 2 Roaches on the way because this attack has not been fully spotted yet, but that was because actually Warren was supply blocked for a while, and he saw this attack, so the supply block potentially could be a huge issue in this game.
The positioning!
2 Queens are going to cut out of position. Nice scan. These Queens could go for a flank on the 2 siege tanks, but the army falls back into these siege tanks. It's going to be a very strong position, especially with the siege tank buff recently of their damage. As long as they can get sieged up, then they're going to start to shut that damage. Queens go for the flank. The Marines push on the right-hand side into the natural base.
Oh, he kills the Roach one!
Cannot do anything by themselves. They have to fall back. And that supply block right there, only allowing them to make 2 Roaches, potentially could be the loss of this game.
This is risky, though. He did unsiege the tanks right now, so Warren is going to go right now. He's going in as the tanks are sieging, mainly from both sides, actually. It is the Queens on the left, and then mostly the Roaches on the right, but the tanks are doing so much damage on the top. Oh my god, the damage is real.
Queens desperately attempted to focus them down. What was so beautiful out of Ruff is the Lings came in. Other things came in to focus down these tanks. He pulled the Marines, and they specifically targeted down those Lings. Nothing is going to dislodge him from this toehold in the natural base of Warren. Warren's main, there's nothing there. Warren's third, there's nothing there. Ruff, you said it. Tempo, you asked it, what is the mech timing?
He's going in.
And this is the mech biofusion timing that Ruff has found in TVZ.
And he had Hellbats with it too, dealing with the Lings. Oh man, those Hellbats are still alive. You know what's so sick about this too? It's just the fact that, like, the last game, he saw him really try to go into that late game, and he's like, you know what? I need to do something, like, when he's not going to expect it. This is a very weird little timing. I don't even know if they had Stim. You know, there's no medevacs.
This is just extra Marines being made, but what's an interesting nuance from the earlier stage of the game is Ruff, where does he spend the money because he doesn't have gas? He makes some extra Marines, so some of these Marines did come from earlier on. It was spurred on by the denial of that gas.
And then he sniped the Roach Warren nearly, like, that was like the first thing that he did.
Went straight in.
Oh man, Warren, man, you gotta be pretty salty right now with that supply block. He's just like, damn. It's one of the worst feelings whenever you're like, all right, I need units right now, and you're pressing the button, and you know, you have the Diva announcement pack. She's like, you can't do that, newbie. And you're like, oh my god, I hate that. You know, you just want to punch. Who's that? Either way.
Calm down right there, calm down.
Yeah.
At least for now, Warren knows that there's no 3rd base or 4th base for Ruff. He's got Overlords over there. He's got a Spire on the way. He's hoping that 400 gas and mutas will be enough. I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
You know what? 400 gas and mutas?
5-6 mutas?
The 5 muta hit squad. Not bad, you know. I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer of the 5 muta hit squad, bro.
It's 1-1, ladies and gentlemen. The winner of this is just going to go on to the next round. Really, you're going to have a little bit better seating overall, but still, every game counts in the Swiss format. So even taking one game, even though you don't take the match, still is really big. Ruff pushes up, snipes this extra hatch, and as I said, this came down to a Overlord right there.
Yeah, well, there are 6 mutas that are going to come out, and there are about 7 Marines that do not. Oh no! The tanks are going to take out the larva, and that's going to be all she wrote, I think. That's all she wrote.
Ruff takes game 3, evens it up, or pardon me, wins at 2-1.
What? Okay then, so Ruff does it with the Marine tank Hellbat timing. catches Warren off guard, and Warren kind of defeated himself there with the supply block as well. Just a unfortunate situation for Warren.
It was a rough situation to be in.
It was
for
indeed,
Warren.
especially.
GG, well played. Three really good games. I feel like we saw very diverse plays, even though they favored similar compositions each game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Warren, likes to open up with the roaches, and then he'll transition after. So it's a very safe kind of opener, and then go into it, whatever it is, like Hydras, let's say. That game, he's like, all right, I'm going to be safe from whatever, and then he just wasn't able to make the units, man.
Yeah. Also, a quick thing I'd like to point out, which you talked about that Roach Warren being snipe tempo, and the reason the Roach Warren was in the position with the Evo Chamber was most likely for Hellions. It was anti-Hellion timing.
Yeah.
But that's not what Ruff did. There's a normal thing he does, which is Hellion, and he played off of that information that Warren had. He gave Warren some information, then actually poisoned it in the end.
And exactly. That's the best part about it, right? Because Roaches are always going to be good against those Hellions, because the first game, or the second game rather, it was Blue Flame Hellion. So he's like, all right, if you pull something like that again, I'm not going to get killed by that. Like, I'm not going to make a bunch of Lings and then die to that. I'm going to make Roaches. And then Ruff is like, well, I'm going to make tanks.
A nice overall arc in the best of three, where it wasn't really 3 individual games, but one massive game in and of itself, where Ruff is setting himself up for that. A beautiful GG, well played.
He's the long con.
Yeah, not necessarily that long of a con, but still a general idea where he's able to get some of these ideas down and execute them in a best of 3, which is something that the other players in this tournament will need to be watching out for. We have a lot of Zergs. Guys, we'll be right back after this short ad break for some more StarCraft action. That's Tempo. I'm Drenok. We are in the cave in Fairfax, Virginia, and this is the PSISTORM Cup.
Number 4. Planetary
Forge is the only defense.
Whoa,
Force
whoa, whoa,
opposing
the
it on
SCVs.
Beautiful shot. The Liberators are going to try to flank them.
Ruff, though, it was actually really quick, and that's going to allow Warren to get the blinding clouds on the rest of the army. He's going in. He's pulling. What is that, a tank? I thought it was a Liberator, but no, it is going to be tanks. He did not take out that many, though.
It's going to be Hydras moving on into this funnel. We see a couple Brutalists coming in here, too. Hopefully, the siege tanks will focus those Brutalists, what Warren is going for. But
that fifth one is there, but he doesn't have the gases there at all, and that's what you need as a mech player.
Right now he's pushing. And we do need to see a couple lurkers here or there because he needs to be able to solidify these positions where he can fall back onto right now since Warren does not have any Hydras to make. What do you think about that? But yeah, it was so beautiful by Warren.
But if it was a different map, I'm trying to think of like Bonnie Research Station and like lining your base with turrets and stuff so that does
keep that income rolling, but then you can remake a Thor or something army. What's also very hard is when you're maxed out like that and move forward with your mech army.